All right, welcome back. Let's talk about the three powerful ways to reclaim your marriage from an affair. We're gonna do something real quick. If you hear any tip or anything like that when I'm reading this email, and then reacting and analyzing it, please do me a favor. Put it in the chat. Okay, put it in the chat as one of the powerful ways. It's gonna be more than three. Okay, as a fact, it's gonna be more than three. But I'll see if I can highlight three powerful ways to reclaim your marriage from an affair before we end this particular session. But yes, Temi D, welcome. Good to see you, Temi D. How are you? I hope you're doing well. You have me smiling so hard at the metro to hold on. Hold your laughter, Chinye. Hold your laughter. All right, green paper, but not money. No, not money, not money. We'll get there. We'll get there. Maybe when we cover Michael and Kenny again, we'll cover it. But for now, let me get to this email. Again, you can send me emails, especially if you're in Nigeria and you feel like you can't, you don't have access to the complimentary coaching session. You can send me a full-blown email. So I won't be covering some real life stories, real things that are going on behind the scenes, and then giving as much tip as possible. Now, I want you to know that there's only so much you can get on a public platform because when we're not getting into your own unique story, you might find one little small thing about this story that you can relate with, okay? But that's just one little aspect. For you, your solution is going to be unique to you based on your own story. Okay, based on not just your own story, there are other factors like your personality, your spouse's personality, the context, what happened, what's specific. You have children, what's the reality of your own world. So just because you find one little angle where you can relate with somebody else's story does not mean the solution is going to be yours. But nonetheless, you're going to get some value out of this session. So I'll be doing more and more of these sessions to at least to finish our shows. All right. Yeah. So three powerful ways. So here's the story. I'm going to read the email. It's an email, actually. All right. So greetings to you. I am Shola from the Westminster area in the UK. I came to know about you from Antabi's show, Obroyibo, so far. Like many of you, of course. So far, I appreciate you and the way you approach things logically most times. I am currently in a difficult situation that is weighing heavily on me, with friends giving me different advice on what to do with my marriage and my home. I have been married for 13 years, though we've been together for almost 22 years. I live in the UK with my children, one boy, two girls. The youngest being 14 months, and my husband. My story is quite similar to that of May Yul Edochie. How so? Anyway, let's continue. By God's grace, a strange woman in my husband's life has somewhat retracted her steps, but she's still very much involved. Throughout my marriage, it felt like there have been three of us, me, my husband, and the side chick. Even after she got married, she remains deeply involved with my husband, his family, and in-laws. My heart is heavy. I would never want to be with a firstborn or a mama's boy. Again, due to my experience, my husband lacks initiative in many areas. Whenever I try to advise him, he interprets it negatively. I haven't learned anything from him, yet I've given him so much knowledge. Though he doesn't see any value in it, he even tells the side chick that I use his weaknesses to insult him. It's a lot and I'm exhausted. I've withdrawn somewhat from his family because he doesn't care about mine. How can they expect me to check on them when their son never shows any concern for my people? Man of prestige, I regret and cursed the day I met my husband. He's not the type of man I desired, and this is not the marriage I signed up for. No sex for 2 years and counting. No kissing, no hugging. No date nights, no nothing. We're only together for the sake of the kids. We sleep in separate rooms, and he stays away for 3 to 4 days at a time, claiming to be working at the site. He doesn't even dress well, let alone spend money on me to help me look good as his wife. Throughout our marriage, we've been apart for about 7 to 10 years due to traveling from Enugu, Nigeria to Dublin, and then from the Dublin to the UK. I was blinded by love and ignored all the red flags. His father had 3 wives, which I never knew. I came from a monogamous family, while he comes from a polygamous one. And the same spirit seems to be driving him to womanize. Every time I try to make him see things differently. He ignores me, continued on the same path. His mother is aware of this and even supports his lifestyle. I haven't written my will and told my close circle that if anything happens to me, it should have little or nothing to do with my funeral arrangements. Please, man of prestige, I just want to stay alive for my children. All right, that's the email. What stands out for you guys? That's the end of the email. Before I start to analyze, what stands out for you guys? Toby and Tribe, welcome. Michael is just chasing his American dream. Temidi says, thank you. Life has been stressful but happy to be here. Awesome. Good. What stands out for you guys? I read that very fast intentionally because I wanted to know what stands out for you before I start to analyze. And then, when I used to do this back in days, people would say, why are you judging before you see the end of it? I was like, judge BT Bawo. No. This is called analysis. Okay, if you feel judged, I understand. That's probably lack of accountability on your part. If you can relate at the same time, you feel judged. We don't plan to judge. We just want to empower us here. All right. So, Chidima married 13 years together, 22 years, 3 kids, mama's boy, feels like a third wheel, no kerewa, physical intimacy. That's like 50 things that stand out for you, Chidima. Those are like 50 different things already. That's a lot that stand out for you already. Anybody else? What else stands out for you guys? Let me know what else stands out for you guys. So I'm gonna get into it right now. Let's get into it. Let's just go for it. All right. Now, if you follow my lead here, he will dump the side chick. Now, for those of you that are triggered by the idea like, well, I don't want him anymore, then honestly, you really shouldn't be here. This topic is probably not for you. The lessons you're going to get in this is bigger than just the side chick or the affairs or any particular one thing. You see, the same skill set that I'm sharing here is the same skill set you will need in every type of relationships. Either romantic, even relationship with your children, relationship with your in-laws, relationship with anybody, friends at work, stuff like that. The only difference is that obviously in romantic relationships, a little bit more complicated because you are having sex with this person, or at least in your dream, or at least you used to have sex with them. In this case, it's been 2 years. So it's kind of sad that anybody will be going through this because you can only imagine how painful it is to live in such marriage, right? Temidi says, wow, people are going through it. It's an endurance marriage. Yes. Up to 75% of marriages are endurance marriage, right? Even when they are having sex, it's a punishment. It's like a chore. It's like you just want to get over it. Just conjugal duties, as opposed to enjoying it. Uncle Beno said, why is she still in the marriage? I knew it. I knew you were going to say that. But it's a good question. It's a good question nonetheless. Why is she still in the marriage? That's a good question. I think it's a question we should answer. Don't you think? It's a question we should answer. Now, oftentimes we ask questions, but we don't really want to hear the answer. It's a rhetorical question. We just want to we're using the question to make a point as opposed to actually being able to listen and hear why they will stay in such a marriage that sounds like a lifetime of punishment, like an endurance marriage, right? And if we listen, we might just have one small tip that can help that person, right? That can help in what way? Leave or stay. But either way, whatever choice they make, it's now bliss henceforth. They can now actually be in control of their life and create happiness. But if we listen long enough, we'll get to help. Yes, Chidima pays attention. Marriott and Chidima actually pays attention. Marriott and I was typing each issue as MOP was reading the email. That was a lot. It was. Wait, are you guys together somewhere? What do you mean, you and Marriott? She said it already. She's staying for the children. See, she said that. Not only is she staying in the marriage for the children, she's staying alive for her children. I think it's a terrible reason to stay in a marriage. I think children can be extremely helpful in you deciding to work on your marriage. But it's a terrible reason to stay in a funky marriage. It's a fantastic reason to work on your marriage. Please help me write that down. Please help me type it out. Okay? Children are fantastic reasons to work on your marriage. They're a terrible reason to stay in a funky marriage. Those are two different things. Because of children but overlooked her happiness. There you go. She said she is there for the kids. I suspect also they are for society pressure and expectations. Absolutely. And those are real things. Those are real things that we value. So it's not, sometimes when we say society pressure and expectations, it sounds like the enemy is throwing something at us. No, actually, we value what we look like in society. It's part of social intelligence, right? We value, we care. You know, when we say, what will people say? You see, that's not the enemy. That's you thinking that. It's a function of belief systems, the way you're socialized, right? And it's not necessarily anything wrong. It's more like a double-edged sword. You better know what to do with that because it can cut both ways, right? Uncle Beno says she should accept her fate. I don't support staying where you are not wanted or needed. Okay, all right. In real life, in a perfect world, she probably should not stay in a place where she's not wanted or needed. It's a terrible idea. But there's also micro staying and mini staying, mini and micro stays, right? Mini and micro staying. You know, when you entertain bad behavior, people don't change their behavior unless there's some form of gravitating towards pleasure or away from pain. So by staying, she's definitely incentivizing bad behavior. But what do we mean by staying? Because again, staying is not this big old thing of you leave the marriage or you stay. There's a lot of micro and mini stains in your interaction with the person that's abusive, right? There's a lot of that. And we don't talk about those mini and micro stains. We just talk about just leave. And that's unrealistic expectations of human beings. Human beings are not capable of living that way. They're not. I don't care how much you tell me that it is your deal breaker, blah, blah, blah. Good for you. Let's go back to reality in real life. Let's talk with people that are in real life. It's not easy. But maybe if we break it down to pieces of the pieces that makes it overall staying, if you break it down into the pieces, maybe it's easier to actually decide in a healthy way that is not also destructive. You know, oftentimes our suggestions is like, let's throw the baby out to the bathwater. All right. So even when people are going to actually yield to that advice, that's literally what they do. They are very angry now and they throw the baby out to the bathwater. In other words, even themselves and the children they go collect. So, yeah. Children have fantastic reasons to work, thank you, Jerry, on a marriage, but terrible reasons to stay in a funky marriage. There you go. So if you think about your children, instead of advising yourself self-medicating, seek help. Please do not stay there and just wait and say, maybe, and then you are praying. You are going to the mountains to pray. But somehow in your own Bible, you missed the part where it says faith without work. You missed that part. Yeah. Uncle Beno, sounds like she's confused or tired. Yes, exactly. Like most people in this situation, they will be confused and tired. You can't go forward, you can't go backwards, you're confused. Yeah, it can be a very difficult decision to make. Did she say she had a 14-month-old? I think she did, Marriott. I think she did. I'm going to go through in a second. I just don't like seeing women suffering while the husband is having a blast. Same goes for men too. You know the funny thing, Uncle Beno, is that you assume that the husband is having a blast. Yeah. You assume that the husband is having a blast. I get it because of our own side of the story, right? We cannot assume that the husband is having a blast. I personally think that men that are inside of marriage where the wife is not enjoying herself, they are actually punishing themselves more than they realize. They might be suiting their need in short-term ways, like in short-term ways. For example, like having a whole side chick that you have to dodge around and go and visit every other day, or wasting all your money in a strip club somewhere, or with Oloshos and stuff like that. I don't think those men are enjoying. I don't think so. Now, some men can normalize that type of lifestyle, and then it might look on the surface that they're enjoying. I think they're actually living a low quality of life, right? So, but in addition to that, some men actually don't know where to start. Sometimes they just say, let her just take care of our children. They too, they're suffering mentally, right? So it could be that the man is having a blast. More than likely, he's probably not having a blast like that. That's why we need to really, really take our time in assessing this kind of situations, because every one of us will tell the story from our own lens, our own experience, right? And oftentimes that's just one-sided. We can still help, right? But we will be helping with empowering them, not judging the other side. This is where we miss it sometimes, right? Sometimes I will say, no, I only need one side of the story. That's because I already know I'm not going to judge the other side, right? So, but if I'm going to judge the other side, if I'm going to come from any place of judgment in any ramifications, then I need to make sure I'm listening to the other side. And sometimes I will make assumptions, but I will make it clear that there's an assumption here, right? So, but I'm going to analyze word for word. I'm just looking at you guys' chat. I wanted to know what you guys think first before I get into my analysis. Uncle Beno, that is true, but we cannot cry more than the bereaved. No, we can't. But that's all we can do. We can encourage people to seek help, and then let them know that it can be better. A lot of people assume the worst case scenario or extreme flip side of the other hand. They will assume that they are the only one in that kind of situation, so they don't want anybody else to know, so that nobody finds out. Sometimes people will say, well, there's nobody's marriage that's happy. They'll just say things like, what's the I'm looking for the most common say here. They might say things like, just do what works for you. You don't know what people are going through, right? So it's like the extreme of both ends of some anguish, no, don't normalize. If you're not having a good time in your marriage, there's some things you can work on. You can at least admit that there's some room for improvements, right? And particularly improvement on your own part as a person. So let me get into it. Let's see if we can get into it. So first line. I have another one coming tomorrow, by the way, so get ready for that one. Greetings to you. I am Shola from the Westminster area in the UK. Of course, like I told you, we changed the names. I came to know about you from Auntie B's show, Odoyibo. So far, I appreciate you and the way you approach things logically most times. I wonder what she meant by the most times. Like, do you mean like sometimes you don't understand me? There's too much English? I'm sorry. But some of the greatest things in life requires a lot of, you got to stay calm and listen, longer than just one moment, so it's going to take some work. I'm currently in a difficult situation that is weighing heavily on me, with friends giving me different advice on what to do with my marriage and my home. Okay, this part right here, friends giving me advice on what to do with my marriage. Hey, alright, friends, you have to watch out for these friends. They are everywhere. They are advisors, they are counselors. They've read a couple of books like you and I. They know exactly what to say. Why don't you set some boundaries? Never accept. Don't accept that kind of nonsense, right? So you gotta be careful with friends. Like oftentimes they might mean well, okay? No, friends can mean well. It's not just friends, even your own parents. Yes, they mean well. They mean well. Your own father, your own mother, your own cousins. They are trying to help. They often come with this advice from a, what did she say earlier? From a logical standpoint. You got to be careful with quote unquote logical advices. Logical advices are the worst. When I say logical, put quotes around them. Not dictionary meaning logical. These are logical that does not factor in the emotions in the equation, right? This is just logical from a 1 + 1 = 2 standpoint, right? Like logical, like for example, like I'm trying to look for I'll find examples here, but logical friends are saying, everything you told me must be the truth. That's logical to them. They don't consider that that's your experience and it's okay to have your own experience, right? They don't consider that you might not be accurate in your own story, right? So we shouldn't be so quick to advise that you should throw the baby out with the bathwater, unless of course we're talking about domestic violence, right? In which case we don't need to hear full story. We just need to leave for now, and then we do the talkings later, right? They just say logical advice. They give you logical advice off of your own side of the story. See, they mean well. They're actually supporting you, but they can hurt you. No. People that mean well can still hurt you. So don't put, this idea is not to start seeing your friends as enemy. It's just borrow yourself brain and say, hey, of course I shared my experience. My experiences are valid, but they didn't live in the same house with me. See, what friends do oftentimes, they will see your partner as the enemy now. If you forgive them small tonight and have sex with them, they don't see that part. They only remember that person is being a narcissist to you. That's all they remember. So of course, their advice is going to be so, right? There's only so far you can go with their advice, So they mean well. Don't get it twisted. They mean well for the most part, because I hope so. I hope you will keep friends that will mean well, right? But be careful with all this type of advices. So there are many friends like that. Gentlemen, you got to be careful with your friends. Okay, many of them, they have no idea what weight you've attached to your family, and the fact that you're in fact trying to keep your family together. They will give you advice literally from their ass. Literally to come right out, and no, it will make logical sense, right? But the reality is that there's a reason why you can't pull off that advice. You know why? Because they're not in your situation. They don't understand the emotions that goes into all of this. They're saying do it like this, and it makes sense for you to say, yes, I should be able to do that. Maybe I'm being a punk. Maybe I should just be a man in my house once and for all. Baba, slow down, no, relax. They're there. Easy. So she said, I've been married for 13 years, though we've been together for almost 22 years. Okay, that means it sounds like they dated for a long time before they actually married. That can be a factor, I live in the UK with my 3 children, 1 boy and 2 girls. The youngest being 14 months, and my husband, 14 months. The youngest is 14 months old. Anyway, let me come to the chat before we continue. Wala. Mary, so sure for it. I can hear the Nigerian mommy now. Sure for it. Yes, you gotta be careful with your friends. Your friends, they just can't see as far as your experience, right? Your experience is your experience. It's not necessarily the accurate story, because your partner has their own experience that you probably don't know what's going on in their mind. You have no idea what they've seen that they're harboring in terms of resentment or anything like that, right? So if you're telling just your side of the story and you have friends that are very quick to make conclusions off of your own side of the story, they definitely don't know what they're talking about. They literally are talking from their ass. Take it from me. Take it to the bank. Okay? She might have reported previous bad behavior to these friends, so their advice will of course be filtered through those lenses. Yes. And usually they're not slow enough to say, I am starting to take your issue personally, and it's not me inside of it. What you need from them oftentimes is a shoulder to cry on. That's the least thing. They don't have the patience for that. They want to tell you how to act. how to correct and hold your partner accountable right now. That's what they are very quick to do, because they call themselves empath. They're feeling for you now. And the reality is that they're selfish. They're starting to feel what you feel, but they're now advising you from a selfish place. They're not going to help you because they don't have to live with you. So you got to be careful with that. They're not trained to know how to address this type of situation. There's too many emotional layers to it for anybody to just be coming up with weird logical advice from their ass. Okay, so their advice will of course be filtered. Now Auntie Shola is confused whether to accept or reject friends' advice. You know why? Because oftentimes when you're hearing that advice, you can't really pull it off, whatever they're saying. You're not capable of doing it. In deep inside of you, you know that something is like their advice will feel good in the short term because they're actually defending you, right? It will feel good. It might even relieve you. But when you come back into your own little corner, literally 2 hours later, you're like, the advice is like, you can't pull it off because they don't have your reality. It's not that easy, right? It's easier said than done. Even for me that I'm talking right now, because I'm not in your situation. Just that me, I'm a little bit trained and I continue to do, this is what I do, right? But even at that, when I'm addressing your situation, I have to be super humble that I'm not in your situation. I can't take it personally. I can't just sit down with you and start chit-chatting and gossiping with you and then shaming your partner. You will feel good short term. But when you get to your bed tonight, you will cry. You will cry. Because the reality is still there. Even though I was able to make you feel better short term as a friend. So that's why Auntie Shola is a little bit confused, right? It feels good, but they can't really pull off the advices, right? Because Auntie Shola, our friends are not the ones who have 3 children with a 14-month-old, with a husband who is their G that they've known for 22 years, but the marriage is funky. Then they don't understand the emotional thing that goes into that, right? They can't comprehend it. Anyway, Maya says, I learned that at 20, never advise anyone to leave their relationship. We've been talking about that for a while. You probably will end up being their enemy eventually anyway, if they make up. Yes, we can listen and empathize, but never suggest. Don't suggest. I don't suggest. I don't. They have to decide. I just show them some of the blind spots. All right, there are many blind spots when you are in a romantic relationship with a person that's also abusive to you. It's a very confusing place to be. Sometimes we try to call it like they're your enemy. They just want to hurt you. This person is so evil. And then when you get in your bed at night, you're like, but wait, am I confused or something? Well, it says MOP and this Yoruba wood dramatics making me laugh. I'm confused too myself, but let's continue. So, all right. My story is quite similar to that of May Yuledoche. All right. By God's grace, the strange woman in my husband's life has somewhat retracted her steps. Let's see if we get what she means by that. But she's still very much involved. Wait. She retracted her steps, but she's still very much involved. Okay. Now she says, throughout my marriage, it has felt like there have been 3 of us, me, my husband, and the side chick. This is the part that almost make me want to agree with Uncle Beno, right? If somebody is keeping a constant side chick for all those years, the only reason I can give for you staying in that is, the nicest reason is low self-esteem. The other reasons are not good. They're just terrible. They're bad. And for 22 years, 13 years of marriage, she said, throughout our marriage, I have a feeling that person was probably there too before the marriage, but she's counting marriage because after all, it's not an offense before marriage. So that person, that side chick, has been in the picture for 13 years. The only reason why anybody tolerates that, there are probably other reasons, but the main reason that comes to mind is low self-esteem. Low self-esteem. Right? This is damn near a polygamous relationship. The rest of it is just labels. She said me, the wife, my husband, and the second wife, the side chick. Wala, wala, wala. Even after she got married, wait till, the side chick has gotten married to somebody else. She remains deeply involved with my husband, his wife, with my husband, his family, and in-laws. What are you guys' thoughts about this so far? I'm almost being forced to make assumptions, and I don't want to do that. This is why there's only so much these public platforms can help. Okay? Because there's more to this. What do you mean? Why is she now married? After she got married, she's still involved. There could be multiple things possible here. It could be that she suspects that this person is a side chick, but they are actually family, but she doesn't know the family well enough. It could be, no, she's actually a side chick. I've seen this one before. She's actually a side chick. She's still messing with her husband. Yes, she's married to somebody else right now, but she's still messing with her husband. And the family, everybody actually know, and it's cool. I've seen that before, personally. It's possible, right? But it's very important that I know some of the details in that, right? Because if it's a situation where the side chick is, what do you mean married? She's married to who? Do you know the person that she's married to? Or this is an assumption that she's married? Or possibly she could be married to your husband and you're just the one in the dark. Those ones exist too. Let me come to the chat for a second. This email is incomplete. Did she know about the side chick before? Why didn't hubby marry the side chick? Is side chick's hubby aware? Good question. These are all kind of questions, right? There's only so much you can squeeze into an email, as of course, right? The man has 2 families. Now, I'll be curious to know if the side chick has children with a husband, whatever that is. I'm curious, But she knows, the only thing we can take out of this is that she knows so much about this side chick that to repair this type of self-esteem, oh yeah, there's a lot of self-accountability that has to go into this. It's not going to be as simple as blasting the husband who is on blast, who is just guilty, who is just having a blast out there. It's never going to be that simple. It's not gonna, and that's a difficult thing for a lot of people. Self-accountability is super difficult because it makes you question you. So am I crazy? So it's always been my fault? Why is it gotta be my fault? Why is everything gotta be the woman's fault in society? You see all the question that will basically take your energy away from self-awareness, self-improvement, self-development, aka the things that boost self-esteem. It's doable, but you have to hands off. Like, okay, take me and do whatever you want to me. If you're not ready to do that, you usually will go and test everybody else out first, and then you come back later, right? But it's going to require work. No, it's not going to be as simple as calling out a side chick that might just be the second wife or a virtual wife somewhere. Yeah, anyway, she should tell side chicks upbeat. Wala. Tell the care. If she dares do that, it's going to get worse. In what way? Oh, man. She's going to go through that rabbit hole. She will never come out of it again. Uncle Beno said the side chick is the main wife as far as the families are concerned. So, good point. That's a fantastic point, Uncle Beno. The topic today is 3 powerful ways to reclaim your marriage from an affair. Let's not lose sight of that. The topic today is 3 powerful ways to reclaim your marriage from an affair. Uncle Beno is already picking out a good, powerful way right there. Let me start that. I'll come back to it. 3 powerful ways to reclaim your marriage from an affair. It's not what you think. No. It's not by turning the man to a saint who suddenly never want to have sex with anybody else anymore. I'm sorry. That's not the solution. That's not the solution. I'm sorry. In real life, no, not in real life, in an ideal life, right? You can snap your finger and your wife just comes home. Or you just go to a mountain somewhere and pray and he comes home. War room, right? And he comes home and he say, you know what? I surrender all. I surrender all. And he surrenders his dick so that he can't use to sleep with other people again. You wish. You wish. This right here on the screen is giving away one of the powerful ways, particularly with respect to this story. I'll start it. I'll see if I can come back to it. MOP, you're right about labels. From the other person's perspectives, the label is inaccurate. I just saw that on Family Empire Houston. Exact same scenario. All the time. Labels, everybody is stuck on labels and they judge from that standpoint, right? But labels are very important. But they are as important as reverse psychology. As in, like, you look at it and you don't ask further questions. You think the labels are what they are, right? You're the sucker. They use it to get you, right? They use it to get you. You're the only one in the dark. I'm the wife. After all, I'm the legal wife. Okay. Is that really what you want, right? Yes, that's what I want. Then you are the legal wife. Problem solved, right? Leave everything else alone, right? But I'm guessing that you want a little bit more than just being a legal wife on paper. I'm guessing that you want a romantic relationship where you're heads over heels, right? You can't wait. You check on each other. You're calling each other. Okay, babe, see you later. Okay, I'll see you later. Oh, I miss you. You come home at night. You can't wait. You can't wait to get inside the house. As opposed to, no, you actually hang out outside because you don't want to go inside. Even though you're the legal wife on paper. Let's keep going. There's a lot more here. On Auntie B's show, women are encouraged to close their wombs for easier departures. Why is Auntie Shola still having children? Wala. Go easy. Sometimes your subconscious mind tells you, maybe this is going to fix it. Maybe this is what we've also needed. Because Ori Omoma Anfa, how they say it, Yoruba? Ori Omoma Anfa. So anyway, children can bring joy. You know, they say that. But nothing is going to bring joy outside of work. Okay? Faith, the same thing the scripture told you. Faith plus work is the only way to get joy. I'm sorry, okay? Nothing else, okay? Lasting joy, the one where in case something happens tomorrow and you feel some type of way, or maybe you guys offend each other, you know exactly what to do to fix it again. That type of lasting joy, the only way is faith plus work. Entrepreneurship and marriage requires faith plus work. Okay? It will only work if you work. Right? If you work hard enough, even when there is no faith, eventually the small micro progress you're having will improve your faith. So if you have to choose one between the two, faith plus work, you pick work. Your pastors might not tell you this, you pick work. Because it will actually build your faith because of the small results you're generating. But if you have faith in yourself, if you have faith in your dreams, you believe in yourself, that goes a long way. It helps. Right? Anything else? Yes, you can, like somebody can snap their finger and you suddenly have joy, but also it can disappear and you won't know exactly what to do to get it back. That's the issues with many of these situations, okay? There's somebody that will prescribe something to you right now, but if it breaks apart again, you don't know exactly what to do again. Anyway, Chidima says, this is not an affair. This is polygamy. Nothing to reclaim here unless you can figure out how to become the main chick or the only chick. Well, they found one secret though. There's one secret here that you guys can run with. I'll spell it out properly. Our Yoruba escapes us together. Yeah, it does. Anyway, let's get back to some of the stories here. All right. So do you guys think it's similar to May Yuledoche's story? Is it similar? Do you guys see the similarity there? I guess. She continues, my heart is heavy. I would never want to be with the firstborn or a mama's boy again due to my experience. Okay, I understand what she's talking about. I understand it. But it's the wrong angle. She's putting attention in the wrong space. I get it. The only thing I get the it is that the husband right now, the only one husband, more likely the only husband she's ever had. If she's had maybe 4 or 5, and she can say, you know what, I've had 4 or 5, and they happen to be firstborn. I'm a firstborn, so I take an offense a little bit to that. Okay. Right? So the it that we're getting from this is that she's been with this person. This person is the firstborn. So mama is always checking. Sometimes mama will call at 11:30 p.m. at night with no consideration for the lady in the house. What do you mean? She's my mother. She can call anytime she wants. Why are you even questioning that? Why are you asking questions around my mother? Like, my mother is my mother. Are you kidding me? Like, what is this? Like, are you my enemy or something? Right? Oh Lord. The only thing we're getting out of this is that all of the husbands she's ever had, if it's 1 or 5, they've been firstborns. That does not tell us anything about the rest of the 8 billion people in the world. Maybe 1 billion adult men in the world. It doesn't tell us anything. Okay. So one of the first things she can do is, let me highlight this real quick. Let me highlight this and then help me write down the third thing she can do. The first thing she can do, let me go back to it. Let me just say it right now so you guys can help me type it out, okay? If you remember, Uncle Beno said the side chick is the main wife as far as the families are concerned. If you listen to that story, it sounds like they don't really know her in the family. Or she's not, at least in good. The side chick is definitely much more friendlier to the in-laws more than she is. But I'm going to come back to that. Before I come back to that, right? This is the first powerful thing that she can do to reclaim her marriage from an affair. She can stop generalizing, number one. Okay? She can stop generalizing. Okay? This has nothing to do with firstborn. Generalization, see, it's not just about the firstborn. Generalization will come in your outlook in life. It's how you assess situations. It's how you see life, right? You see, you have one little experience, you assume, you conclude that the rest of the world is doing the same thing, right? That alone is going to destroy your marriage or reduce your chances of reclaiming your marriage back from affair. What's an affair? So we've assumed that affair is another side chick. That's at least what the story is, right? But your husband could be having an affair with non-humans, right? Basically, you're asking for quality time. You're asking for time. You're asking for a romantic lover, a homie lover, and a friend, right? Something is always taking the attention of a man that you're seeking, that you want this badly from. Something is taking the attention away, right? How do you reclaim your marriage from something that's taking the attention away from this marriage, right? We're assuming that this is of value to you. This is valuable to you, right? And you want it back badly, right? How do you do that? Well, there you have it. Stop generalizing. This is what generalization does to you, okay? It makes you conclude on an answer before you actually listen. It shoots active listening in the legs, okay? We talk about active listening as key. So active listening is key, right? In these relationships. around the world. When you generalize, right, you come up with an answer that quick. Because, listen, especially if you're 18 and above, you've seen enough that you just assume you know what is up, right? It could be, I live in this town, I know what's going on in this town. It is what it is, that's just what it is. Don't tell me nothing. Oh, my wife is upset. It must be because of this reason, right? You just conclude. You don't have patience. You don't have the space in you to say, oh, well, I'm not going to make an assumption. Let me ask what's going on. And by the way, you have more than enough experience to generalize. We all generalize, right? What I'm asking you to do is to check it. Check it. If you can be super aware of this, it fixes about 200,000 other issues. Because guess what? Because when you see something and your brain tells you, like, I know what that is, you're still like, I'm going to chill. I'm going to find out. I'm going to take my time to see what is up. So by the fact that she's saying, I would never want to be with the firstborn or mama's boy again, right? She's generalizing. Is she alone? No. The rest of the world are doing that. Well, as you can see, the results out there are not good. You know why? Because they are all generalizing. They're all generalizing. So that's the first one I want to pick out. The second one is going to be the Uncle Bendo's one, but I want to get to it. She goes, my husband lacks initiative in many areas. I lack initiative in many areas. I haven't learned anything with that yet. Okay. My husband lacks initiative in many areas. I would like to know what areas so that we can get more specific and help her along that line. Let's continue. My husband lacks initiative in many areas, and whenever I try to advise him, it's still general in nature. Whenever I try to advise him, he interprets it negatively. Okay, so it could be worst case scenario is that he shuts her down whenever she's having an opinion about something. A lot of men do that. Okay, a lot of men do that. How are we gonna fix that? It's not ideally, right? In an ideal world, I would just be like, stop shutting your wife down, and then it will stop. Coconut head for men is not here. It's not gonna be that simple. Okay. Also, it might not last as long as the other alternative I'll give you. Okay. It might not last because you're correcting. Yeah, we can correct from a place of love. After all, correct from a place of love. You just correct it from a place of love. Why can't you just receive it? Men need to humble themselves. Like, I know. I agree with you. Is it working? No, it's not working. Okay, we got to come up with something else. Okay? Rub your hands together. Yeah. It's not working. If it's not working, your ability to say, hey, something is not working is key in all of this. Okay? It's not working. Not only is it not working, if it works, it's temporarily, because we're talking about bad habits. Bad habits are barracudas, as in like they are strongholds. It's not that you can't just say, hey, stop doing this bad behavior, and people just stop. If it was just bad behavior, then, like, oh, don't poop over there. Oh, don't pick your nose. Oh, okay, even that. Even ordinary picking nose. The last person you saw that was picking nose or biting their fingers, right? I bite my fingers. Terrible bad habits. Can you get me to stop by just telling me to stop? No, they're habits. They're habits. So what's the way? What's the way around it? He interprets it negatively. Whenever I advise him, he interprets it negatively. Okay. I'm interpreting that as you get shut down. You feel shut down. You feel like this person is just saying you're. I have an example. I'll cover that tomorrow. He's making me look bad, right? What it means that you need to listen longer. You take your time to listen longer. You need to actually ease yourself of all this pain that you're going through by listening longer. Listen a lot more than you talk. What do you mean? I've been listening. No, you haven't. I promise you. Okay, because this statement starts with whenever I try to advise him. That's you talking. Drop the advice. Release your expectations away from the advice and listen. Drop the advice. Don't make the advice the end all be all and leave it alone. No, but these are real life things that we need to change. Oh, now we're talking. Let's keep going. I haven't learned anything from him, yet I've given him so much knowledge. Okay, this is taking me back to Uncle Beno's talking point or answer earlier on. If this is true, you need to do exactly what Uncle Beno said. You need to leave. But you will need to tell me a little bit more about what you mean by it. I have not learned anything from him, yet I've given him so much knowledge, though he doesn't see any value in it. Okay, great. What is it that he values? Listen, focus, naturally speaking, is what you value as an individual. Me too, all of us. My focus is what I value. It is extra work for me to consider what you value. Okay? It's extra work for me. It's not easy. It's extra work for me to consider what you value. For you to consider what I value is extra work, particularly when we're talking about romantic relationships. See how easy it is to call people narcissists, right? What do you mean? So you only think about yourself? Yeah, literally. It's not something in real life. If we were having sex, I wouldn't admit to it. I would actually think I'm thinking about you, right? It's not that easy, right? But it's easy for me to say that because I'm coaching right now. If I was having sex with you, and we've been doing it and see finish, don't enter, as in like we've been taking each other for granted, I'm probably more focused on what I've been giving more than what I've been receiving. And even if I've been receiving, I probably haven't paid attention. It's called complacency. All this needs to be assessed before we can conclude that this has in fact been the reality. Do people do this in relationship? Yes. What should you do? The same thing. If giving to that person is not enough for you, or you're feeling resentful, back off. Leave the relationship and start giving to yourself. That does not have to be a permanent decision. Leave the relationship and start giving to yourself. It does not have to be a permanent decision. It might just be what they need to see to start paying attention. Because again, we're talking about, if I was to round all of this up into one thing, this person, at the minimum, they're taking you for granted. It's either they're taking you for granted or they are straight up evil. If they are straight up evil, and that's your conclusion, you should do exactly what Uncle Beno said. Leave. Don't look back. Let's keep going. All right. So, he even tells the side chick that I use his weaknesses to insult him. If you want to claim your marriage back from an affair, this is extremely difficult to do. You're going to need to take your focus away from the side chick. It's too much energy. You mentioned side chick about 3 times already. It's too much. Right? You know, what you focus on expands. In weird, twisted ways, it becomes your reality, starting with inside of your head. That's what you go to bed thinking at night. That's what you wake up thinking at night. Even if that person has moved on, you're not able to move on because you don't really have the facts, and you're always looking over your shoulder, wondering if the person is still... Now, if this person happens to be... Sometimes they happen to be the daughter of a family friend or something, so you kind of see each other in the same gathering, maybe same church or anything like that. It will be very, very hard for you to get rid of this person in your dreams. Right? So this focus on is side chick, it becomes reality. Right? What do you mean? Does that force a person to start having an affair? No, but they will have an affair in your dreams. Yeah. If they are having an affair and you just straight up having an affair and they won't stop, you need to leave now. I know the fear. What if you leave and they steal your husband for life? They've been stealing them for 13 years. No, don't let me answer the question. What if you answer the question? What if you leave and then the side chick steals your husband for life? Answer the question. No, grab a pen and a paper and answer the question. She says it's a lot and I'm exhausted. Of course you're exhausted. You're exhausted. It makes sense to me that you're exhausted. You're thinking about the side chick in your dreams. When you go to bed, you wake up at night. No, it's not that deep. Yeah, you've mentioned it 3 times. Tell your fingers when you write these emails, okay? You're thinking about side chick. You're thinking about a side chick, then you're thinking about your husband. Let's keep going. I've withdrawn somewhat from his family. This part right here. I've withdrawn somewhat from his family because he doesn't care about mine. You see the in-law thing that we talk about all the time? You have to be a little bit more intentional about that when it comes to marriage. Okay? Natural knee-jerk reaction, intuitive behavior, they're just in-laws. You're joined together by law. LAWS. You want to be more intentional? Change the laws to love. In love. Listen, it's just something you tell yourself. It's a coping mechanism. It's how you train your brain. You need to treat your in-laws like they're your family. You need to forget treat. Because treat, sometimes you overprocess treat. That means, you have to show up and do all this. No, it doesn't mean you do extra. Okay? Just see them as they're your family. Are you always there for your own family? No. So nobody's expecting you to become a superwoman or superhuman to your in-laws. No, you don't have to be that. But your perception, how you perceive your in-laws, is going to drive a lot of events in your marriage. It's going to drive how you react. It's going to drive how you act around them. It's going to drive how you behave around them. It's going to drive your interpretations of what they do. Every family has dysfunction. Every family has a middle child who thinks the firstborn is evil. Oh, you didn't know that before? Yeah, they have something of that nature. Something that they consider to be toxic. Every family has that. So all these assumptions that you subconsciously make when you get married, right? They're actually helping you recreate what you think, what you feel, how you see, your outlook on life. You're recreating it. What do you mean? Well, who's going to hold all these other people responsible? You! But how you do it is everything. It's not about the holding responsible or anything like that. It's how you do the things you do. It's not the things that you actually do. Right? Everybody's obsessed with accountability. I'll tell you, me personally, me and my wife, the way we operate, people are accountable around us. The only difference between you and I is that I don't have to explicitly set boundaries. I don't have to do that. It's the way I carry myself. It's the way I carry my family that automatically set those things there. Now, if you've created damages already, you might need to be a little bit more explicit. But even at that, you need to be aware behind the scenes in your subconscious mind, meaning it's going to take more than just a decision. You're going to have to actually practice it before it becomes a second nature to you. But you do have to be explicit if you've created damages. But you need to have at the back of your mind that these are things that needs to happen organically at the end of the day. If you try to force them, you will resent yourself, you will resent everybody around you, and by the way, of course, you'll be exhausted. It's too much weight. You cannot carry that kind of weight. The only weight you can carry is yourself. The self-care, self-love that you have, self-respect. That's the only weight you can carry. That's the only weight you're capable of carrying. By the way, if you're going through any one of this stuff right now, you're weak in this moment. So you're focused on your husband, your side chick, children are kind of like duty and responsibility. But outside of that, you're focused on all these other people, including the in-laws. It's weighing you down. Let's keep going. I told you all the time, it's not just shaming and blaming that affect these things. Guilt. No, but I don't feel guilty. No, relax. Guilt. Resenting yourself. Right? Feeling like you're never enough. feeling like you've done everything. It looks like you're blaming the other person, but you're basically shooting yourself on the legs. It weighs you down. It's exhausting. So to get you to actually take care of yourself, I know one powerful way to reclaim your marriage back from an affair. Yes, self. People mimic the level of self-love, self-respect you have for yourself. Go figure. Anyway, let me continue here for a second. He even tells the side chick that I use his weaknesses to insult him. The man feels like you are insulting him. The man feels feelings. Feelings does not mean it's true. It just means it's a valid variable that you need to be aware of, especially if it's somebody you still want to stay married to. It doesn't mean it's your fault. What do you mean? How is it not my fault, but it's still valid? See? Now we can talk. Yes, that feeling can be valid. It doesn't have to be your fault. It's your ability to give grace without weighing yourself down, without exhausting yourself. It's a lot, and I'm exhausted. I've withdrawn somewhat from his family because he doesn't care about mine. Tit for tat. Tit for tat. If you see his family as yours, there wouldn't be any need for withdrawing. If you see the family, his mother as your mother, that's your mother for the rest of your life, as long as those kids are alive. It has nothing to do with the way you act. That's just another relationship that you will need to nurture. But if you see it as is, it makes sense that you're measuring against each other. Of course, you're exhausted. You're fighting battles that you don't really need to fight. You're running a race. You're competing, and you don't really need to be in that competition. Listen to this statement. I've withdrawn somewhat from his family because he doesn't care about mine. You don't wait for him to care about yours before you see that family as your family, especially with 3 children. So as just give that to him. No, you're not giving that to him. You're giving it to yourself. These are just relationships. That's what they are. Not just, but those are relationships. And we are just as good as our relationships. Every relationship matters. Unless they don't want you. If outrightly an individual doesn't want you, then of course they don't matter now suddenly. But I'm talking about in terms of how you see it, starting from the way you see it. Don't get into this competition. I treat my family this way, so you treat your family this way. Don't make it a talking point. You will shoot your marriage in the legs. You will. And yes, affairs will thrive even better in that type of environment. Of course. Of course. So we're not going to hold the affair accountable? Yes, we are. Cheaters are cheaters. They're liars, they're stealers, they're thieves, and they belong in hell. Are you happy? How can they expect me to check on them when their son never shows any concern for my people? I told you, you're exhausting yourself. The way you would check on your mother is how you would check on your mother-in-law. Usually, the cases I've had, we have wives that actually don't check on their own mother like that. But there's this expectation they put on themselves that, oh, because of our culture, I'm supposed to check on his mother every other week. No. You don't have to do that. You simply do the same thing you would do with your mother. Like it's just a call away. Mommy, are you okay? Just checking on you. I'll call you tomorrow. I'll call you in the next few days. You don't have, see, you're putting unnecessary weight on yourself. If you had seen his mother as just a bonus mother for you, you won't be overthinking it. Oh yes, there are people that have divorced. Sometimes that's just a solution. But they still have a relationship with that person that's cordial at least. You're using all these external bodies to play tit for tat with him. Of course, affairs can thrive in that type of environment too. Right? If you're going to generalize anything, generalize relationships. Relationships matter. Nurture the relationships. The relationship with your children, the same thing. Relationship with the in-laws, cousins. Like, hey, hello, be welcoming. In your own way. Now, I'm not talking about, oh, you have to do extra because in Yoruba land you have to kneel. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just being you. Don't create this extra lines of demarcations because, quote unquote, it's in-law. They become additional tools, weapons against yourself when things are not going well. They become additional layers of issues you have to deal with, when you could easily just say, oh, I'm not worried about that one. Make the focus your husband. If that's the husband that you want, right, and you feel like there's some things you can still work on, let's say, for example, some level of friendship, co-parenting that's amicable. These are opportunities you can leverage to absolutely steal him away from potentially the real wife. Because we don't even know if that person is the other person. Because they've been there all along. They might actually be the real wife. You can actually steal them away from the real wife. Wait, Ola, you're teaching people still away from the real wife? Calm down, okay. The point here is that you're overthinking the rules, the regulation, your moral values, you're putting them on pedestals. You don't know that this life is a game that you need to play in terms of nurturing your relationships. You're creating lines with labels. The labels, you're putting those labels on a pedestal, they're working you out. You cannot carry that kind of weight. The only weight you should ever be carrying is yourself. Making sure you're clean, you're taking care of yourself, you're clean, you're feeding yourself, you're working out. Right? Those are the only weight you should be carrying. Everybody else will make everything else easier for you. Let's keep going. So I've withdrawn somewhat from his family because he doesn't care about mine. How can they expect me to check on them when their son never shows any concern for my people? Let me say this before I leave this paragraph. The extended family are extended family. Okay? Don't make... Your marriage is not... Listen, if there's a crack in your wall, the devil will come inside. It's not going to come in dark angel clothes. It's going to start using you first, and then it will use the next person, and then we'll use all those extended family. That's the way it works. You're your own worst enemy for the most part. We are our own worst enemy. You need to really get back to checking yourself. How have I been moving? Right? So how can they be concerned about you not checking on them? That's the least of your issues. Your primary issue is you. See, you notice I didn't say your marriage. You. Your primary issue is you. And then your husband, if he's actually there. But if it's a situation that's just like this is abusive behavior. If it's actually out in your face, having an affair, that's abusive behavior. So it's not him. That's actually not a husband. If you haven't had sex in 2 years, that's not really an husband. Okay? If you haven't had sex in 3 months or more, that's not an husband. I'm sorry. You have to face that reality. You are the primary concern. When you focus on you, you significantly increase the chances that you will reclaim the marriage back from an affair. If there's an actual marriage there, if Ola happens to be wrong, then you increase the chances. Let's keep going. Stop making the side chick or the extended family, don't make them an issue. Man of procedure, I regret and curse the day I met my husband. That is an attitude of life. That is an outlook on life. And it's so sad that you feel that way. I'm so sorry that you have to feel that way. But it's not going to help. It's going to make matters worse. I know. You regret and curse the day you met your husband. 3 children have been produced up till just 14 months ago. I feel so sorry. It's not the type of man I desired, and this is not the marriage I signed up for. The first part, that was the man you desired, that you slept with. The marriage, anything that's worthwhile in life, including marriage, requires work. It is not work to make conclusions that you regret and curse the day that you met your husband. That is emotions speaking. I understand. But you're going to have to do the work to remove yourself from that mindset. It's going to be tough. But so is everything that's worthwhile in life. Okay? It's nothing special about that. Anything that's university, you want to become a doctor, it's tough. Okay? It's tough. So if you want a good marriage, you want a good relationship, starting with relationship with yourself, then it's going to be tough. Particularly if the damages are so great and you're getting to a place where you're saying you regret and curse the day you met the father of your children. I get it. As a man with bad behavior, it's very super easy to focus on that part. I get it. But you don't want to do easy. Easy is for suckers, for losers. Losers are always looking for the easy way out. It's everybody else's fault. And you're not here because you're a loser. You're here because you're a winner. She continues, no sex for 2 years and counting. So essentially the marriage does not exist. Your roommates, no kissing, no hugging, no date nights, no nothing. Of course, makes sense. We're only together for the sake of the kids. You're not together. Your roommate for the sake of the kids. We sleep in separate rooms. That makes sense. And he stays out for 3 to 4 days at a time. That sounds like he doesn't care about the family unit. He's just there to fulfill all righteousness, probably because of the kids. Remember, the marriage does not exist. If it did, if I happen to be wrong, stop generalizing. Okay? Nurture your relationships across the board. They're relationships. Each one of them are valuable. Just nurture them. Stop using the language in-law. Stop seeing in-laws as in-law. Change it. Right? Change it. Be intentional about that. Okay? Number 3. I'll give you this third one. Somebody help me list that out. I think I already said that. Don't put the focus on the side chicks and the extended family. Okay? Don't put the focus on them. See them as people, relationships. You never know which one of them God is going to use for you. See them, treat them equally, right? If you're engaged in any particular one, you zone in and you listen, active listening. I talked about that earlier on. Same thing as don't generalize. Don't make assumptions because you have your own experience. Off of your own experience, don't make assumptions. Let's keep going. There's more than that. I'm just saying that, I intentionally left it like that. All right, so he doesn't even dress well. Watch this part. Okay, we sleep in separate rooms and he stays out 3 to 4 hours at a time, claiming to be working at the site. He doesn't even dress well, let alone spend money on me to help me look good as his wife. I'm not going to pick that one. What I'm going to tell you is that there's too many issues. You need to find one issue. You need to find one desire. Okay? And you need to focus on it. When you focus on it, we can break them apart into other things that need to happen before we can accomplish that. But it's all over the place. This is typical. When people are going through this kind of situation, they're all over the place. They're talking about dressing. They're talking about in-laws. They're talking about the children. They're talking about he's nasty. His breath smell. Right? He doesn't have sex. He sleeps in another room. They're focusing all over the place. Right? You need to find one thing. Usually, if you work with me, the first one thing is self. Self. You, yourself. Nigerians, this is very hard for you to comprehend when I say self. I understand. Maybe that's why you need to seek wise counsel. Okay? If I can't help you because you're in Nigeria, there are people out there. There are people out there you can talk to that have actually figured this out. Don't say, oh, in Nigeria, marriages don't work. Shh, hush. You're generalizing. You're generalizing. Marriages work everywhere. Okay? You've been focused on the one that don't work. That's why. Why? Because misery loves company. You're looking for stories that sounds like yours because it makes you feel better, short term, at least 1 minute at a time, maybe 1 hour. but then you keep coming back to the same situation. Before you know it, 25 years is going to be there. Before you know it's going to be 30 years, and you're going to look back and you're going to be like, wait, why did I waste? Where did it go? Throughout our marriage, we've been apart for about 7 to 10 years due to traveling from Enugu, Nigeria to Dublin, and then from Dublin to the UK. I was blinded by love and ignored all the red flags. That at this point, that's a talking point. I don't know what that means. Oftentimes, even when I engage clients, when I ask them to break down what that means, they oftentimes can't break it down. It just sounds sweet. So here's your own work if you're watching this. I was blinded by love. I ignored all the red flags. List them out from an intentional place. What red flags are you talking about? All right. Most of you, you're probably going to feel weak, tired, too lazy to grab a pen and list them out. You know what that tells me? You just like the funk. You like the familiar feelings of the funk. When you mix that together with coconut head, pride, it's a bad combination. It's a bad combination. So 7 to 10 years, they had a lot of long distance. That can absolutely affect things together. Here's a quick lesson from that. When it comes to long distance relationship, it's doable, but you have to be, guess what? Intentional. Not just intentional with respect to emotional intelligence. You can't just say I'm intentional because you like to talk. No, you're just a talkative, okay? That's just what that is. I'm intentional. I'm a communicator. No, stop the cap. Stop the cap. There's a fine line between communicator and a talkative.
Stop the cap.
No, but I listen very well. I'm a good listener. Oh, now I'm like, oh, you're a good listener. What do you mean? Let's talk about it. Let's see how well you demonstrate listening in front of me right now. Right? It goes a long way. Goes a long way when it comes to this thing we call relationships. All right, so I come from a monogamous family while he comes. Okay, this part. Generalization coming to play here. His father had 3 wives, which I never knew. Okay. Most of our grandfathers, maybe not father directly, most of our grandfather, great grandfather, they had 3 wives or something. This means nothing. If you're talking about a societal level trauma, maybe we can have a conversation. But in which case, everybody else is dealing with the same issue. In which case, you just need to learn how to play the game to win. We're not going to make that excuses why you shouldn't be self-empowered. We're going to look at it as, okay, all right, good. Now we know that variable. Nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and work on self-empowerment. See, when you look at the playing field and you look at everybody's dealing with the same challenges, then it becomes, may the best player win. That's how life works. Right? So you just happen to be the one from monogamous family. Being from monogamous family does not mean jack shit. Sorry. Okay. It doesn't. Oftentimes they came from monogamous family and it's basketballs that they saw all of that time that they spent living under that monogamous family. It doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean anything. But as usual, throughout the theme of this email, there's some generalizations coming from this. While he comes from a polygamous one, and the same spirit seems to be driving him to womanize. He's womanizing because he's womanizing. And if it's just one side chick, that's not exactly womanizing. There's a good chance that there's some kind of emotional need that is being taken care of, a void that's being filled. Unfortunately, bad behavior, by an affair with one person. If he's carrying women up and down, that only makes me look at you and say, why are you doing this to yourself, sister? Me and Uncle Beno will say, hey, why are you doing that to yourself? Why? Because you don't think you have options? You do have options. There are men out here that will bag you. Before they blink an eye, they will bag you and your 3 children, and wife you up. You just have to know how to take care of yourself first. That's the prerequisite. They don't want you if you can't take care of yourself. Or if you come off as you can't take care of yourself. So it's not good enough to say, I take care of myself. No, other people need to see you as you take care of yourself. So womanizing has nothing to do with monogamy or polygamy family. Zero. Nothing. Every time I try to make him see things differently, he ignores me. Some continue on the same path. He doesn't see, you were right earlier on. He doesn't see value in what you're saying. So what do you do with that? Find out what he values. How are you going to do that? That's very difficult. Now, that means you put your own feelings on the side and then go and find out what he wants. Yes, the whole point of the love language. I need to find the physical version of the love language and put it here. That's the whole point. Find out what he values. That's going to be difficult because you have resentments. So for me to ask you to leave your own shoes, take your legs out of your own shoes and put it in his, that's going to be difficult. But it's easier when you have support. It's easier when I can paint the picture of the results you're looking to achieve. In this case, we're assuming it's reclaiming your marriage back, if that's what you want. Right? If that's what you want, or if that's not what you want, it's you that will decide. When you have low self-esteem, you're not able to decide that. Right? But if that's what you want, right, then it will be healthy because you would have worked on yourself. You would have concluded that it's a healthy thing because we've listened to beyond just your first time narration of your experience. It's beyond just, there's a side chick or something like that. If there's a serial child side chick involved, obviously you don't love yourself. If you're now fighting for that type of situation, at least it's questionable, right? Let's keep going. Every time I try to make his mother is aware of this and even supports his lifestyle. Yes, that's resentment against his mother. That's going to help you continue to shoot yourself on the legs. It doesn't mean the mother is not evil. No, what I'm saying is that your focus. Yes, it's going to get worse and worse. That's where you're focused. You're focused in the wrong direction. Right? And even if it's true that his mother is evil, wait, why are you trying to stay married to a person that their mother is evil again? We're going to need answers to that before we can move forward. And then she goes on, I've written my will and told my close circle that if anything happens to me, it should have little or nothing to do with my funeral arrangements. That's an emotional talking point. Okay? It could be real, but you might have written will, but obviously that's not what you want. If that's all you want, what did she say? She said, this is the last line. Please, man of prestige, I just want to stay alive for my children. If that's all you want, you will not have the energy to type this email. We need to be very open and honest with ourselves if we're going to change our situation. We need to be able to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, my actions are not matching what I'm saying. I need to at least start with fixing that. Make sure my actions are matching what I am saying. It's a lot going on here. Here's where support helps. We're able to help you narrow down to one thing that matters the most. And then when you can take care of that one thing successfully, the chances that you would take care of 200,000 other things is increased significantly. It's called focus. It's called priority. And if you struggle with that in your personal life, everything, including the marriage, is messy. And of course, that becomes an environment that affairs can thrive in. Okay? I'll tell you this. If you really want to reclaim your marriage back, self-care, re-engage your purpose. Re-engage your purpose. Very important. Self-care, re-engage your life, mission, and purpose. Is bigger than you. It cannot be about your marriage. It has to be bigger than you. 1, 2, re-engage your purpose. Stop generalizing. I just added 2 more right there. But let me come to the chat. Let's come to the chat. Let's chat it up before we finish. All right. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. He will dump her. Ola, where's the secret for her dumping her? If you take care of yourself, they will dump all types of people for you. It works all the time. It works 100% of the time. Okay? Does she really want this man back? We'll have to wait and find out. She probably does. It's probably unhealthy, but we need to find out. Okay? Sometimes people will say side chick, and it's just a label too. and it's just fear, you know. Let's see. Okay, let me go backwards. Chidima says, what is the color of this problem, Egbami? Is it the one side chick? Is it her husband being a firstborn baby mama, or is it her husband being a general community bowler? You see, she never said the general community bowler except the part where she said womanizing. Right? So we need to just wait and find out. It was just an email, you know. Decided to make it today. Yes. Power move 4, re-engage your purpose. Yes. And when you're in this kind of funky place, it's very difficult. It can be very difficult to do that. All you're obsessed with is move. You're literally watching his every move when you're obsessed with this kind of story. And if you can type that kind of long email out, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying you need to do some work. Okay. And I'm sorry you're going through that, but you need to do some work. Okay. Prestige Fam, we never buy my oils. Oh yeah, I have 3 get 1 free. Wala advertisements. Yes, MOP, focus on yourself. Be a better version of you. Then to walk away will be the easier. Yes, exactly, Uncle Beno. It's become super easier to walk away. Yes, because you just, you know, the way you value yourself just goes through the roof, right? So it won't make sense. You won't be able to comprehend the idea of staying with somebody that's abusing or abusive to you. You won't be able. It won't make sense to you. You know, the same way. Remember, I told you that your friends. Your friends are not necessarily evil. Sometimes they don't mean well. You just have to be careful with them. But you see, they can't, because they're not in your situation. They can't see. They might be advising you to walk away. It might not be that easy. But then also it might make you be hating yourself even more. So it requires a lot of patience. So, but you won't be able to if you work on yourself, you re-engage your personal life mission and purpose, which has to be bigger than you, which obviously means it's bigger than your partner, if that's still your partner, right? You just won't be able to. You just wake up one day, it doesn't make sense to you anymore to stay there. And if you don't do that work, there's more than enough reasons for you to stay. Beyond your children, there's more than enough excuses that you will give to continue to tolerate an abusive partner who sleeps in other room. No, it's not okay. If it's permanent, it's not okay for you to stay in a marriage where somebody is sleeping in the other room. Temporary sometimes because you're needing space, you're working on your situation, yes. But on a permanent basis, it's been 2 years, no. You have to do something. You have to change. If you want that to change, which I think you want it to change, you have to change something. And that's usually self. If you want it to be a lasting solution, you change. You start working on the change that you want to see in other people. Okay. Let's see here. Power move 3. Don't focus on side chick and extended family. Thank you, Jare. Power move 4. So we had quite a few there. All right, I'm starting them so I can review them. Uncle Ben, I reserve my comment. This is Yoruba versus Yoruba marriage. Too many nuances. I'm sorry. Toby, don't reserve your comment. We can learn from your comment. You know, the only thing that you can't be comfortable with, I have to agree to disagree. We already know that. But let's rub minds together. Excellent advice, MOP. You don't make the family your enemy. Rather go higher and let them deal with their stupidity. Yes. So I find that this is one of the nuances, Uncle Beno. I find that when we tell people to go high with their in-laws, they think we're asking them to start serving and kneeling down and cooking food, and they're like, no, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm literally asking you that she's your mother. She's a bonus mother. Sometimes you're overwhelmed. You're able. You feel free to say, Mama, I'm a little overwhelmed. I need help. Yes, even sometimes if she's a mad person, some of them are mad like that. If she's a mad person and she said, you're supposed to be, how can you be so overwhelmed? Are you the only wife? I said, Mama, I'm overwhelmed. I'm about to go to bed. I'll see you when I come back from it. That's what you would say to your own mother. Say that. You know, what the least she's going to accord you with respect to time is that she will respect that you actually are at least open, honest, you don't harbor resentments. See, a lot of girls, they'll go with all these unrealistic expectations of themselves. They say, no, you will do this, you do that. So they will now do that, they will overwhelm themselves. and then there's nothing else to give. Now they will now overreact and they will now say, these people are my enemy. See, that's not going to help you either. That's not going to help. Be yourself, but see them as bonus family. See the brothers as your bonus brother, right? This has nothing to do with the labels. I'm not talking about the labels. You decide to call them brother or auntie. That has nothing to do with that. I'm just saying how you see them. You're acquiring a new family. See them as family. Because of the weight that the in-law phrase carries, disengage from that. If you have to call it or make it clear, oh yeah, that's my mother-in-law. Just practice. If that sounds corny for you, I understand. Just say that's my mother. Okay? If you are capable of still saying mother-in-law, but you just see her as your mother, then fine. It's about your mindset I'm talking about here. It's about your attitude about this that I'm talking about. Not overwhelming yourself, not overthinking it, not carrying the kind of weight this kind of weight that's overwhelming wives all over the place. You're going to overwhelm yourself. And then you will resent them, and then you shoot yourself even more in the legs. And no, don't copy the templates. It's not necessary that you copy the template of your mother. It's not necessary. And don't bring that into the conversation. Oh, our mother went through this. So because, see, you're building resentment already. Don't bring that into conversation. You have your own world to live. It's your responsibility as an adult to figure this out without bringing things that will remind you of the negative attributes of all these toxic stories all over the place on the internet. You need to be intentional around that. Let's keep going. You don't make your family your enemy. Rather go high and let them deal with their stupidity. That's it. There's going to be stupid people everywhere. Though there's going to be enough stupid people for you to conclude that this family is just evil. There's going to be enough stupid things around you. That's what I'm saying. She went from competition with side end to competing with her hobby. Yeah, the tit for tat. Slow down. Slow down. Toby and Tribe says, so if she saved her marriage from this side chick, will she also have to save it from another one in the future, or the guy will stop cheating? You see, that's a good question. Okay? That's a good question. The key thing, if you remember the solutions that I've given thus far, it starts with self anyway. Okay? It starts with self. You know? There's just, like I was saying earlier, there's too many things we can worry about. The reality that some affairs are being born out of men not feeling safe in their own household. That's the reality. The also additional, two things can be right at the same time. The other additional reality is that the man was participating in the bad behavior. He was cheating. It's bad behavior. Right? Can your conduct make your husband stop cheating? Yes. That's the answer that we're all afraid of. Yes. If he doesn't stop, remember you've been working on yourself. You won't be able to comprehend staying with somebody who is just abusive. Right? So it's a holistic set of solutions here. Self first. Life, mission, and purpose. Right? Self first. Life, mission, and re-engage your purpose. Right? So you can improve your self-value. Right? Don't make your in-law your enemy. Don't do it. You have more than enough reasons to do it. Don't do it. Just be intentional and choose not to do it. No matter what it looked like before, you married into that family. Those are two families getting married together. Okay? If he doesn't stop cheating, the answer is in the first step. Work on yourself. Work on yourself. The idea that you will stop desiring somebody that's cheating is unrealistic expectation of a lot of women. That's exactly when they want to compete. They just want to win. They want to fight, even if they will show that man shaggy at home, but they want to show that side chick that I'm the winner. That's the wrong focus. The focus is self. If you focus on self, a lot of other things just take care of themselves. Yeah. So, but the other side of the answer is that yes, the idea of a man having an affair outside. I'm not talking about serial cheaters now, which is just their lifestyle. I'm talking about the guy had an affair outside. A lot of times it started because home is not peaceful. The idle mind is the devil's playground. The certain family, certain vibe around the family, the dynamics between you and your wife that will become a thriving ground for bad behavior across the board. If you remember that cheating is not just the only one bad behavior. There are many, many other bad behaviors, such as talking to your friends about your wife, every little thing she does wrong. Such as telling your mother about everything about your wife, putting your wife in harm's way because she misbehaved last night, right? Should that man do that? No, he shouldn't do that. Can your conduct at home get him to stop doing that? Yes. You absolutely have the power to influence people around you. Absolutely. Right? Is it always true? No, it's not always true. But the fact that you're taking care of yourself will kind of take care of that. Wait, how does she know what Obi tells side chick? She's snooping around. She's obsessed with the side chick. That's why. She's obsessed with the side chick. She should make herself available and scarce at the same time. Obi will start chasing her again. So that one's very tricky. I don't advise it that way. I know what you mean. The human mind is a very tricky thing. If it goes the way you just put it in, I know exactly what you mean. If it goes the way you just said it in this sentence, the focus emotionally is probably the hobby. It's probably obsessed with the hobby. And you can't deceive your emotions. You can't deceive your mind. Your mind has its own weight to carry. So if you are, the best position for negotiation is to be willing to walk away and mean it. You have to mean it. The mean it part has to be part of it. So don't even, I wouldn't had to make herself available and scarce at the same time. I would re-engage my life mission and purpose. That usually consumes a lot of your energy. That automatically makes people to want more of you. And in addition to that, you're actually doing something that has intrinsic value in it, right? And if the person wants you or something like, now they have to kind of win you back. So because you meant it when you walked away. I like that better than people trying to play the balance between their emotions. It's like an oxymoron. It's like me telling myself that I'm not here, but I am here. It's like, wait, what? Am I here, but I'm not actually here? Like, no. Yeah. If you are here, you are here. Your mind is here. It's focused on what is focused on. I'll be very, very careful with that, or what other things you might read on the internet, such as no contact rule and all this kind of stuff. A lot of those things just get you more obsessed with the person that really doesn't value you, you know. And even though on paper you mean to practice something, no, the only thing you should practice is self-purpose. Okay, self-purpose. Well, there's a G there that I haven't mentioned today, which is gratitude. God, purpose, self, GPS. Okay. All right. Does she still love the husband? That's a good question. I don't think it will matter. I don't think we are capable of loving a person that's abusive to us. I think we might have a caricature version of love. I think we might be obsessed with the person because we tend to want something we can't have. So it's a very tricky question that I just don't ask my clients. I don't bring the love thing into it. Do you still love your husband? I don't do that, you know. I think you love that person the day you decided to have sex with them. You love them enough to allow them to insert themselves in you, and then they have 3 children. I think that's where I stay with that conversation. If they are obsessed, that's where we say, hey, why are you so obsessed with this person that's been abusive to you, right? And I'm not asking that question just because I have the answer already. No, I actually want to hear what they have to say about that. I want them to process that, you know. And oftentimes people have not done that. And then when we use the word love, it's like we open this world of reality that a lot of people they can't even comprehend. Like, for example, love in Yoruba language is what is that? Ife? Mufere? What does that mean exactly? Does that mean we are doing kirewa? It's confusing when you start going from one language to other, right? Love is a very complicated word, and we're just kind of drilling a little bit deeper into why these people were together in the first place, and what is point A, what is point B. Can we create a path from point A to point B? Point B can be very confusing for them because of all the emotions that goes into that. Power move number 1. Thank you so much. Stop generalizing. Okay. All right. So let me see if you guys are saying anything down here before I conclude for the day. So I got to make sure I manage the time a little bit better. Tomorrow will be better. She should become a newer, upgraded version of herself, and the husband will be wondering what just happened. Yes, that works all the time, Uncle Beno. That works all the time. But I will make the focus the upgraded version of herself, and keep the door open. And the marriage has not existed for at least 2 years. They haven't had sex. Okay, let's just say at least 10 months. Okay. So our letting go is key in all of this. You have to let go of that man, not the side chick. So that automatically means you are not obsessed with the side chick. Let go of that man. What do you mean? What if the side chick completely steals the man away? Yeah, what if? Yeah, what if the side chick completely steals the man away from you? It could mean a couple of things. It could mean good riddance to bad rubbish. Right? It could mean that. Yes, our minds are our greatest weapon. Yes. In summary, the solution is to change mindset and focus on self. Self. Mindset renewal. So from what I've gotten from just this email, I definitely think that she definitely needs to seek help. There's a lot going on there. If there's a lot going on in your mind as a human being, the idea that you're going to self-medicate is, I don't know how far you're going to go with that, But I'll tell you what, the environment can be familiar enough that you wallow in it for another 10 years. Now, is that such a bad thing? No, not if I say it that way. But you're raising children that don't even know what it looks like to love appropriately, love the right way, right? You're raising children that are looking at what you're doing more so than what you say. Oh, your daddy loves you. Oh, your daddy doesn't mean any harm. Okay. They're looking at what you're doing more than what you're saying. Okay. So while you stay in that kind of situation and you're wallowing in it, you're creating damages. The longer you wait, the higher the chances you will never fix it. And when people say generational curses and stuff like that, this is what they look like in real life. Most of you think of it as some strange spiritual realm where you can only see it in a dream, in a vision. No, this is what it looks like. These are real things that becomes part and parcel reality of children as they get older, and they will struggle. It's because, they will struggle already, they're human beings, but it's become additional layers of issues they have to deal with in life. The human experience is already tough as it is. If there's anything you could do for your children in terms of making life easier for them, is by being better examples, right? Become a better version of yourself, as Uncle Beno puts it, right? All right, so that's it. Let me see. I'm going to do a quick summary. Just want to make sure that I cover everything. There's a lot of people in that. There's a lot of people that the only time they've actually that have had Kiriwa is just those times that they were conceiving. There's a lot of people that only come to their spouse when they want to impregnate their wives. I know it's like what? Enduring marriage. That's what a lot of people do, unfortunately, sadly. That's what they do. So let's do a quick summary. Thank you so much for this. So today we actually extracted 4 different power moves, right? Stop generalizing. Stop making assumptions. Seek the help you need. Okay? Stop making assumptions. That also means active listening. That also means you're probably not capable of doing that because you have a lot of resentment stored in. When you have a lot of resentment, it's very difficult to listen to another person's point of view or pain point, especially the person that is the perpetrator of your pain. It doesn't make sense, right? That I'll be asking you to go and be listening or actively listening to that person. But let's start with stop making an assumption that your experience, right, it becomes the ground rule for life. You will shoot yourself on the legs. You will shoot your opportunities in the legs. Okay. Power move 2, self-love. Absolutely. Self-care, self-love, self-everything, self-love, everything, self-everything, self-improvement. Self-improvement. You need to take care of yourself. No, it's not good enough that you tell yourself, I take care of myself. No, That's terrible. Okay? Don't say that to yourself. Okay? Unless you're doing affirmation. Of course, affirmations are good. But you need to put actions behind them. Okay? Power move number 3. Don't focus on side chick and or extended family. Yeah, remove your focus from those people. They are extended family for a reason. Okay? They are extended family for a reason. Your focus is not even your husband. It's yourself first. Okay? So you can actually have something to give. You cannot give what you don't have. Okay? Because the one of the key things to relationships is focusing on giving. You go into relations to give, period. Now give and take, give. But you can't give what you don't have. If you're too tired of giving, give to self. Okay. Power move number 4, re-engage your purpose, your life mission and your purpose. You don't know what that is? Okay, we need to identify it. We need to spend some time identifying whatever your life mission and purpose is. You're here for a reason, a very unique reason, a reason that you'll be remembered for positively long after you're long gone. What does that have to do with affairs? Here's why. Nobody wants anybody that's not about something. Okay, nobody wants anybody that's not interesting. Okay, nobody wants anybody that they know everything about you already. But wait, isn't my spouse supposed to know everything about me? No, that's false. That's false belief system. Okay, that means you're stagnant. There's nothing new about you. There's nothing interesting about you. There's no new discovery. You don't have any new gist on a daily basis. But when you are engaged with your life mission and purpose, it's always exciting. You can't wait to share. You can't wait to share with somebody. Not only are you not sharing, you don't have enough time to share. There's always something interesting to look forward to with you. But when you're not engaged in that, you probably have time for a lot of activities that can be translated to nagging, right? That can be translated. If somebody can't have enough of you, right? The last thing they are doing is having an affair. And if they are having an affair, then we're talking about what Toby and Tribe was talking about earlier. Why would you want to stay in this relation with the person that have a lifestyle like that anyway? But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about one side chick has been 3 of you for all those years. The automatic answer to that is that you should remove yourself immediately. That's still very, very true. Okay? That might be what you need to do to tell the other person that you won't take that kind of nonsense. And now you get to decide if it's valuable for you to stay there or not. I'm not going to make a grant like you shouldn't stay there. Because guess what? The reality is that you're there. The reality is that you're there as we speak right now. Okay? Yeah. Ola, you need to start paying me for these summaries I do for you. I'll pay you. I don't mind though. Thank you so much, Chidima. I appreciate you always. I'm hoping that you're getting some value out of it too. I hope everybody's getting some kind of value out of it. Right? But there are many marriages out there that needs to be reclaimed back. Why? Because family unit is everything. Let's not make assumptions that makes us conclude that we should be throwing the baby out of the bathwater. Okay? So, and I'm not encouraging that you should stay in bad situation. As I've reiterated it again. You need to work on self. After you've worked on self, it'll be easier to make a self-conclusion that you shouldn't be in certain situations. Okay? None of those decisions have to be permanent decisions. In life, I've seen so many situations where people have actually broken up, filed divorce 3, 4, 5 years, and they still came back to each other. Right? So, I'm just saying, a lot of this textbook stuff, they are textbook for a reason. They are supposed to be a guide. But there's too many nuances. We need to make sure we're addressing them small by small. So here's the one takeaway from today. Okay? When you find yourself in a situation where there's an affair, right? You need to you've lost yourself. You need to get yourself back first. Okay? If you're going to go back into a situation with that person, there must be a high level of self accountability. Obviously, they have to be able to acknowledge that was bad behavior, right? They have to do that. If you let them get away with that, they will repeat it. There's something in them that allows for that in the first place. It's not your fault. When I say a certain environment can encourage it, it doesn't mean it's your fault. It's just you paying attention to how life works. Okay? There's just too many variables. Because there are too many variables, that's why I said let's narrow it down to one. The one most important. What is the one here? Can anybody tell me what's the one most important in all of this? So I can round up. I'm going to round up. If we get it right, I'm done. There's one most important thing. We have to narrow all this stuff, narrow it down to one thing that we must work on first before we move forward. And then I'll round up for today. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. What is the one thing that we must narrow this down to before we can move forward? Awesome. You guys are the best. Self. That's it. Thank you, Esther. Self. That's it. Self. All right. Does it sound trivial? It's very difficult. Because there's false belief systems that you have to work on, that you've been carrying around all your life, literally. That all of them, if you look in the mirror right now, you know all of them have been checked. Like all of them have been tested and you're confused. Self. Let's reassess things. You might just be right at the end of the day. All right. Hopefully you've been enlightened, educated, and hit the like button on your way out. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. See you tomorrow. Oh yeah, tomorrow. Oh, sorry, before I leave, I wanted to show you guys this. Tomorrow we'll be back here talking about oh yeah, we kind of touched on that a little bit today, but we're going to dive in a little bit on it today. In-law boundaries, right there. All right, so we're going to be talking about in-law boundaries tomorrow. So you can go ahead onto the page and go and set your reminders for tomorrow. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Hey Prestige fam, show some love to the video. Hit like, subscribe, and share. Are you in Europe, America, and struggling in your relationship? From argument to abuse and trust issues, we're here to help.
Lola and I founded Prestige Marriage Academy to transform your story. With 20 years of friendship, 17 years of marriage, experience with navigating the ups and downs of marriage, and personalized coaching, includes 24/7 support. Ignorance is expensive. WhatsApp us at +1 732 305 8577 to book a free discovery session today and take charge now.
Don't wing it.
Join us in creating the love life you deserve.